Hello everyone, I'm Sally and welcome. In this video, we will be deploying our application that we created earlier. If you remember, it was the generator application and generator API. We had counter model, we had the generator functions where we were using base 64, it's like 62, and also service bus message to send the message. And also we had the function and we name it to generate the code. It was accepting length, salt, and seed data, and check if the seed is null, it goes database to get the seed number by increasing it by. By the way, there was a mistake over here. It should be /counter, otherwise it's gonna fail. And then increase it, and then they generate the code. So now let's deploy this first, and I'm just gonna show you something on the Azure side. So to be able to deploy, I'm just going to right-click that project and say publish. And we can choose Azure Functions or Azure environment from here. And it says, okay, if you created Azure Function within the Windows or Linux, you can basically choose, or it could be a container app. I'm saying, okay, I have Windows application. And from my subscription, it is returning me all this resource group that we had. So I'm just going to say, okay, this is the resource group. And it is going to get me the functions, Windows Azure functions. So this was it actually. So I'm just going to say finish. And so it is creating a profile, not deploying the app right now. It is creating the profile. So when I click publish, now it is building the project and creating the artifact, and it is going to be able to publish it to there. So let me show you the function. So if we get into that function, for example, when we were creating this resources, we basically said, okay, this is going to be using this application inside. If you remember, this application is going to be able to use the application inside, but we didn't specify any, any sort of connection string, any of ID or something. So it is going to use that application inside by sending the logs, but we didn't say anything. It's because when we are configuring this application while creating, as we said, we are going to use application inside, it creates application inside connection string data. If we show the value, we have the connection string data already here. So it is important to have it there. But also, in the application, we said, okay, you're going to use, for example, service bus message, not here. For example, we said, I'm going to provide you some configurations like that, connection string, service bus. But we didn't specify those connection strings. So our application currently doesn't have those. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add these configuration manually here. But the value actually will be getting from our key vault, if you remember. So I'm just going to show it to you as well. So let me see how it goes. Yeah, publish succeeded. So the application is there already, but as it is lacking the configuration, as it is missing this configuration, it will be failing if I hit that endpoint. Actually, let's try it. So this is gonna be, where is it? The link, right? So I'm just gonna copy that one, paste API and health, for example. So 401, why did we get this 401? Is it because, was it using authorization? Actually, we need to pass this one as well here. Okay, but let me sort this thing as well. So I need to go to key vault first and go secrets. If you remember, we've created those. So for example, for Cosmos DB, if I get into that one, and it has one version only, but you may have different versions. So this is the enabled one, for example. It gives me a secret identifier. I'm just going to need that data. I'm just going to copy that value and get into that function again by saying, okay, I will need to create something else. So the name will be connection strings. If you remember, connection strings, service bus. It's because we read the configuration value here by saying connection strings service bus. This is going to be the same. So I'm saying this is going to be connection string. To be able to read it from Key Vault, I'm just going to say Microsoft. This is the pattern we are going to use. Key Vault within that way and open brackets and secret URI and equal, and then the paste, whatever you copied. So paste. When I paste this one, it is going to hit that endpoint to get the latest data. But if you see, this has the version of it, specific version of it. It's because this is the version that I copied. But if you had more than one versions, and if you want to get the current one, the existing one, the enabled one, you can basically remove this one from here by saying, okay. And in that case, it will be reading the latest version of it. So whatever the version is the latest, it's going to read the specific, it's not going to read the specific version. It's going to be getting the latest one. And I'm just going to copy that one and hit apply, and I will add something else. It's because, let's get into it. And we had service bus, and get into that one, copy that one, do the same for service bus. For instance, I paste it there and get rid of that specific version. And the name this time will be connection strings service bus. We created service bus, but copied Cosmos DB, right? So let me create something else. Let's say 1, for instance, apply it and get into this one. This will be Cosmos DB, and apply and get service bus and set it to service bus. Okay. Now I'm going to hit apply. It's going to restart the application as we change these configurations. And also, if you see, key vault is green. Why it is green? It's because this application has an identity, and the identity has the required permission. That's why it is able to access this key vault. If you remember, while we are standing up this key vault, we also set the identity of those functions so they can be able to access the connection strings or anything else. So this means our application now is able to read the connection strings. So as it restarted the application already, if I hit that generate endpoint, let's see, oh my God, on the first one. So if I hit that endpoint, it returned the data 2, 6, 7 character. If you remember, it was going to be 7. Why we didn't hit the health check one? It's because anonymous thing. So I'm just going to have to redeploy application. It's because it was not using anonymous authorization. That's why it required the key, but it is another story. And so if I say length should be 10 character, for example, and hit the endpoint, if you see, it is getting this value. As I didn't provide any seed data, let me see in Cosmos. If I get this item, and yeah, okay, do you want to continue? See, the code is 2. Basically, it was able to increase that number. If I hit that endpoint again and refresh it, so it is 3. So basically, it is able to access that one and able to increase that one. Let's see if it is able to hit that service bus with a message. If we get into service bus and find code generated topics, code generated. See, there are 3 messages in the counter, in the subscription, and the messages are there. As we didn't deploy that analytics app yet, it is not consuming those messages, but it will be doing it. Yes, okay, then also I just need to show you something. So while we are creating those resources, if you remember, we set the networking as a public access, but I've changed it later. It's because I don't want anyone else hit that endpoint while I'm just making these videos. So if we get into that networking and also click that enable with access restrictions, what I said, enable from selected virtual networks and IP address, and I have created my own rules. So it says deny all except these 2. For example, this one, Azure Cloud. In Azure Cloud, every application should be able to access this one. We could also create our, if you remember, virtual network. There will be a virtual network between these 2. But if I can say, I'm still able to say this one will also be in that one. And I can basically come over here and add, and not IP address, but virtual network. It's going to say, okay, which network do you want to use? I can say this one, and then it is basically gonna allow all the traffics from that virtual network. But I said, okay, this is my current IP address and allow this one. So that's why I was able to hit that endpoint. And also all the other resources, I need to set this one. I did the same thing for the others, just letting you know. In the next video then, as we have this application already running for this one, and returning the data to main API, it will be returning. And in the next video, we will be creating our main API. In main API, we are going to have a few videos. It's because we are going to implement onion architecture within this main API. It will be applying all the best practice of coding. It's going to be using onion architecture, and it's going to be calling this one. It will be handling the exceptions, and also it will be using a minimal API with the latest .NET version. So we might have to spend more time on that project. That's why it's going to be having 2 or 3 videos, we might say. And if you like this video, hit the like button. If you have any question, please let me know in the comment. Until the next video, happy coding.